Welcome to my channel. Hello. Today I thought, this is just my second video on my channel, and I thought, it's been like a week since I did my last one, so I really need to start cracking on, really. So welcome. I hope you're all very well, and hello to all my new subscribers. It's great that you're here. I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to offer this little sort of corner for us to congregate and share some life experiences. And I'd love you to be proactive in the channel, so commenting regularly if you can, please. Let everybody know that you're here, and where you're at right now on your journey. That would be great. It all sort of all helps, doesn't it? Sharing is one of the best ways to do this, and in this day and age we're all pretty good at sharing, aren't we? Let's face it, with all the different ways that we can now. If you think back to when, mostly my generation, when I was a kid, we didn't have any of this, did we? So you're all, even now, as in my generation, I think, God, how did we do it? How did we manage? But yeah, we did, didn't we? And that was, and life seemed simple then, to be fair. So today I'm my title of my video is when life feels normal but something just feels off. And as the name suggests, I'm just going to sort of run through a few sort of little things about what I've experienced entering my middle of my life, to try and help, guide, support other people, other women particularly, what they might be going through, how they might be feeling now. And hopefully this channel will help. Who knows? But I'm going to give it my best shot anyway. Midlife, however you want to call it, midlife, middle-aged, more mature years, however you want to call it. I would like your input into, I want to rename it. I don't want to be referring to it as midlife, middle-aged, mature years. I don't want to be referring to it like that. It doesn't feel comfortable for me, because I don't feel that it is the middle of your life. Although sort of technically in linear it is, but I do believe life does actually start to become more meaningful and more true to you the older you get. So I think the first 3 decades are all very sort of educational, if you like. They're where you're learning to how to process different scenarios, how you experience different situations. And I think once you've sort of got over that 30 mark, your wisdom starts to kick in a bit more. And by the time you reach 40, you've sort of starting to get life figured out a little bit. Not entirely. I mean, we never completely figure out our lives. It's always an evolving cycle of everything that happens, and you have to sort of sometimes refigure things out, or especially certain aspects of your life anyway. So yeah, I'm very big on philosophy, and I absolutely love delving into the depths of our emotions and what our bodies are actually trying to tell us, and whether or not we are listening, because we're quite often not. We're quite often too much in our heads to even notice, and it's then labelled an ailment, an illness, a condition, when really in reality it is your body's way of talking to you. It's the only way your body can talk to you. So there are many aspects of how my mindset now works to how it would have worked 6 or 7 years ago. So midlife, as I say, pop your suggestions in the comments, please, so that we can spruce up that word, because it doesn't sit comfortably with me to be saying it repeatedly. And I'll still, I'll rack my brains to try and find something. Maybe I'll put a poll up, and we can all decide together and vote together which one sounds best. But yeah, when you hit a certain point in your life, as a woman, I don't think it's a crisis. As I've said, I do believe that it can actually be the first time we get the opportunity to actually quieten ourselves enough to think and start asking questions about, all sorts of things. What is this it? What is life about? What am I here to do is a big one I get from people, from other women. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing? It's got to be more than this. Surely there's got to be more to it than this. Where am I heading? What is all this about? Who am I? There's so many questions that can crop up, and I hear them all and more. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you're unhappy. It just means that things are just evolving for you naturally. It's a natural cycle, and it doesn't mean that there has to be drastic life changes either. Quite often my clients feel quite anxious and worried and scared about, if they open a door, where might it lead them? And it might open up opportunities that they're not entirely comfortable with yet. But I know from experience, really I do, and I trust it so much. I trust the universe to only give us what we can handle at the time. I really do. I never believe that it gives us too much to take. If sometimes, yes, things can feel so, you can feel so overburdened, but you do have that inner strength to cope with it, to handle it, to deal with it, to navigate your way through it. Maybe with the help of other people at times, of course. We all need some guidance, some support. Or there's times where we just do, and if that's how you feel, then go for it. Find some, find the support that you need. But ultimately, a lot of the answers that you need are within yourself. It's having the ability to, and it's not it's not an ability that is only for the elite few. It is the ability of every single living being on this planet. Of course, we all have this ability to quieten our minds and ask ourselves questions and be able to hear those inner answers that are coming from deep within your heart, essentially. And there's the guilt thing, because people feel, a lot of women that I speak to feel bad. They feel guilty and ungrateful because they feel that there are things that are missing in their life, even though on the outside everything looks great. And you know, many of their friends and, you know, family members would possibly look in and think, well, what have you got to moan about? You know. And of course it's not about moaning, it's not about feeling ungrateful, it's not about being disrespectful to anybody. It's your own innate it's your own I can't think of the right word, hold on. It's your own, and you know, you're entitled to this, you deserve this, you're it's not something that you're, you know, you're not asking for, you know, the world to fall at your feet. You're just asking perhaps for some space, for some time, for some peace, so that you can start to really tune into yourself, if that makes sense to you. You know, and quite often women spend a majority of their adult life, and sometimes even some of their childhood, caring for other people. You know, if I was the youngest in, you know, my siblings were all older than me, but for some women out there, they could have been the eldest, middle-aged. The eldest may have, you know, moved out, and you're the one there that's sort of helping to look after the younger siblings. That caring, nurturing is, you know, it's born into women, and it's something that we just naturally begin doing from an early age. It wasn't necessarily that I had younger siblings to look after. I had pets. I remember I think I was 4, and I was 4. I went and chose a kitten from a litter that my next door neighbour's daughter's cat had a litter of kittens, and I went and chose one. Funnily enough, it was all black and had green eyes, and I called it Bubbles. There you go. And you know, that was my inner nurturing coming out, my femininity, my, you know, that was how I was expressing that side of me, you know. And we had other pets as well, so it wasn't just the one kitten. But yeah, that's where I spent a lot of my childhood, looking after the animals. But you know, then you grow up, and then you start to, you know, you start to look after, maybe, you know, I was a young mum. I had my first child at 18, my second at 19, my third at 23. So by 23, I was, you know, my family was ready-made, there, done and dusted. I didn't feel ready-made. It was tough. It was a tough, you know, sort of 6 years, that. But it made me who I am now, or some of it did anyway. So I went from being a child to having children. So I didn't get that gap in between. And I don't regret any of that. I don't regret any of that, because I feel that I've got the opportunity now to make the most of the rest of my life. My children are adults. They all have their own families now. We do have some distance between each of us now as well. Since me and my husband moved further north, my daughter moved further south. My son is slightly further south, not as far south as my daughter. We're all in the UK, obviously. And my other son is about an hour and a half away. So we're not a million miles away from each other, but it's not a pop round each other's for a cup of tea kind of distance these days, which again was quite a big change, but it has given me the opportunity to get to know me, because I've never really had that opportunity before. As I say, I was a child at 17. I had my own children, or I was pregnant at 17. So, from 18 onwards, I've been a mum. And at 18, you're still a kid. But, you haven't got life figured out in any shape nor form at 18, have you? So, yeah, the last 6 years, I mean, we moved here 4 years ago. And yeah, I mean, my actual sort of journey in realizing that there was things that were not quite right. There was a piece of the puzzle missing, if you like. Then that was started about 6 years ago, but we've moved here 4 years ago. Next month is 4 years. And I do look out my window a lot, sorry. I've got my horses. I can see my horses from my desk, which is great. And the two that I can see most of the time, thankfully, are the two older ones, who are 30 and 31. So I do like to just pop my head up over the hedge, because the hedge is getting a bit high now, just to make sure they're okay. So if you do see that, don't worry, I'm not being rude, I'm not being vague. I'm still fully aware of what I'm saying, and that I have you guys in the room with me, so to speak. But my eyes will often wander. It's quite windy. I wanted to do a video outside. I tried yesterday and it was too breezy. You would never have heard me. And today the wind hasn't really let up, so I can't do it outside today. Even in my teepee, I have a teepee outside as well, but I couldn't do it in that because that would be noisy as well. So I'm in my my own personal space within the house. This is my room, where I do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and this is where my desk is. So yeah, it overlooks my horse's field, which is it's perfect. But yeah, so that 4 years ago, when we moved here, was a big change. We'd sold our home. We'd had our home security of owning our own home for 17 years. We sold it. We moved further north. We're about 10 miles away from Lincoln City now, middle of nowhere, renting a cottage with some land, and that's us. No neighbours. No immediate neighbours anyway, which is great. I needed space. I needed the space and the freedom to figure out who I was actually as me, which is it's quite a task at the time, as you just think to yourself, well, I'm me, aren't I? What do you mean, who am I? I'm me. Yes, you're you, but you've got all these hats on, haven't you? You've got the mum hat, the wife hat, the nanny hat, the sister hat, the daughter hat, the employee hat, the business owner hat, the cleaner hat, the shopper hat, the run your kids here, there and everywhere hat. I mean, the taxi hat. Honestly, you do wear so many hats when you have a family. And even if you haven't got kids and you've gone through your whole life as in the corporate world and you're career minded, it still comes to a point where life doesn't really feel content anymore, and there's something that is missing, but you don't actually know what that is. It happens to I'd say it happens to quite a lot of women, to be fair, from my experience. And when you have that opportunity to sort of quieten down your life, have those quiet times, those quiet periods in your week, in your day, you can start to reflect a little bit and think of what, when I was a kid, what really made me, what lit me up, what made my inner light shine brighter. For me, it was always horses. From the age of 7, always horses, and has been since. I'm currently nursing an injured ankle, have been for 7 months, so I'm unable to ride. That has quite an impact on me, because that's a little bit of me that I can't be. So yeah, but what lights you up when you ride, when you're a kid? It was, for me, it was riding my horses. Before that, it was animals were always the thing for me. I used to love riding my bike, and I used to have such an imagination, which was great. You do, don't you? But it all gets pushed out and trampled on, doesn't it, when you start to grow up? And if sometimes it's difficult to sort of unearth it again, where it's been buried for so long. And that little inner child is who you were born to be, isn't it? Let's face it, that's who you were born as. And that little girl in there has probably had to take a backstage for quite a long time now. And since doing the inner work for myself, the world is like, for where I live, is it's like a big adventure every time I go outside in the garden. It's great. But I let my inner child out, because I feel that it's something that's needed. It's something that's seriously needed. Life is so serious all the time. We need to have that. We need to have that imagination. We need to have that little bit of magic in our lives. But again, that's something that just sort of evolves with you, I think. And everybody's different. Some people, it might be something that completely different that lights them up. It could be swimming, it could be hiking, it could be pottery, it could be anything. And that would be your thing. The thing you do when you lose track of time. the thing that you do where all your other thoughts go out of your mind for that short time. That's the space you need to be in for your inner voice to be heard. And that's when you hear it. When you've everything else has just been, you've shut the door, so to speak, for a little while in your mind to life, and you're just being in the moment. And that's when the little voice will, the feeling, it's not a voice. Sometimes it could be. It could just be a feeling or even a knowing. That wake-up call. And of course, sometimes it could be that, through trauma or loss, that you start to get this sort of this wake-up call. It could be, for me, it was one of my horses passed away. That's what was the thing that nudged me into saying, come on, let's get you sorted out now. You've been so much to so many people and horses at that time, because I'd spent a long time looking after him. Let's focus on you for a bit. Let's find your light. Let's make it shine brighter for you again. And that's when it started for me to, I'm not going to go into it all now because there's so much. I mean, this wouldn't be a 30-40 minute video. It would be I don't know, a 30-hour audio book. I might do one of those one day, who knows. But I started to explore ways of finding that light, finding even how to access that inner light that we all possess. Didn't even know I had an inner light until a few years ago. And then you do start, as I say, it could be a health issue. It could be that, your children have finally left home and you're just suddenly rattling around in your house thinking, okay, what do I do next? Now what? What's next? It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be, health issues for yourself or even other people. If, it will cause some kind of traumatic or drastic life change for you. And these are the things that, it could be an accident of some description. I know a number of clients have had an accident, and it has opened a door for them to start exploring paths they wouldn't necessarily have discovered if they'd not had the accident. But everything is, I believe that everything everything happens for a reason, and I believe that things that happen are meant to happen because they help you get put onto that. It's almost like you have many diversions in your life. You have this main path, but as you grow up, you get diverted off. But all of these diversions eventually do lead you back to that path, your main path. But think of all the places that you've found along the way. So think of all the things you've learned all the way, and it all comes with you back onto this path, and it's about you know, the diversions are things you experience as a child, things you experience as a teenager, things that, you know, further education, career choices, and, you know, all of the you know, the family, the marriage, the kids, all of these things. But it all comes back to you. You are the path. It all comes back to you. And all of these things have all been integrated within you. You take them with you. You don't leave them behind, do you? You take them with you on this path. And that's, you know, there's little things that just pop in. I mean, I have no script here. I've got a couple of notes which I've actually forgotten about, to be fair. And you know, you might think I'm rambling. Sometimes I do ramble, and I do apologise if you think I do ramble, but it's something that I feel passionate about. And I also, you know, I'll say what I feel guided to say at any given time. I work very closely with my intuition, and if my intuition says, you know, if I get intuitive nudges to start talking about a specific thing, I'll start talking about a specific thing, because I know that there'll be somebody out there that is desperately in need to hear this. Or it might just, you know, there might just be a little breadcrumb there for you, where one word will be enough to help you start exploring something. Yeah, honestly, the ways that the universe works, and I'm going to say it, the way the universe works is throwing breadcrumbs, throwing seeds, and it's up to us to, as and when we plant that seed, nurture that seed, notice that seed. That's the first one, is noticing the seed. We do go through life so blindsided and so conditioned and programmed that we often don't see the seed. It goes unnoticed. You're in your 60s and you realise that you feel a bit lost and you're not actually sure, you know, what do I do now? Do I just sit here and wait for the next 15 years? What do I do? It's the awareness. That is the biggest thing that we need to be aware of. We need to be aware of our awareness. We need to wake our awareness up, because that's when the opportunities and the little seeds, the breadcrumbs, are given freely in abundance to us by the universe. And you just have to be aware of them, where they are. You know, look, don't go out. You know, I don't mean like literally just every single thing that you see or witness or overhear, but it could be literally something like a sign in the back of someone's car. Yeah, something will draw your attention to it, and you'll think, oh, never thought of it like that. And your mind, your thought pattern will go into overdrive. It could be you overhear a conversation in the shop. Honestly, it's so many different ways you can, but just having that awareness, rather than going around with the blinkers on and the headphones on, doing what you've got to do, sometimes just stop and breathe and just be aware of what surrounds you. And then it can help open up the path, especially if you are feeling a little bit sort of stuck, or feeling like there is something missing. And don't feel bad about trying to explore these things either. It's It's part of who you are. It's part of your life. It's part of your journey. And why not? Why not? There's no rule book out there that says that you can't change direction or you can't explore new things. And yeah, it's for me, as I say, we took a big leap of faith and moved to where we are now, and it's been the best decision. And I've said to my husband multiple times, do you ever regret any of it? No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm the same. I don't regret any of it. I feel that, we're all on our own paths. We've all got our own lessons to learn. And we all deserve, we all get to a certain point in our lives where we deserve to have that breathing space. And I feel that, with where we're at now, for me and my husband, we are having that breathing space. There's plenty of things still going on, plenty of challenges for us. Certainly don't have it all, figured out and set up forever, because as I say, things evolve. The minute you think you've got everything sorted and sussed out, something throws a spanner in the works, and you have to sort of reevaluate and rearrange everything, if you like. So yeah, it's life's a funny old thing that happens, and the things that happen in your life aren't, yes, they're there to try you. Of course, some things can be very trying. Some things can be so traumatic. I've had, I'll go in future videos. I'll talk about more of my past in more detail. If you're interested, obviously. If you're not, then you don't watch, do you? Simple as that. If you're subscribed, then I'm hoping that you will be interested, because as I say, it might just be one word that I say, could be that one breadcrumb that helps you get onto your path, and you will get there. That door will open when you're ready. Simple as that. It will open when you're ready. That's probably the postman, to be honest. It's always someone turns up when you're filming, isn't it? Always. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I think I've given you too much to think about. I do apologise. I just rant on a bit. But yeah, there's so much to explore together and work through, and that's what I want this space to be for. I want this to be the space where you can go and make yourself a cuppa and sit and listen, perhaps have your journal, and just do a bit of reflection. Who knows? Hopefully it will help. It will help some of you, and hopefully it will help put some people on the path they're meant to be getting back onto, rather than the one that was diverted off years ago. Maybe it's time for them to come back to that path, come back to themselves. So thank you very much for watching. If you could please hit the like button, and if you want to watch further videos, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified for future videos, so you don't miss anything. And share with anyone you feel that would benefit from joining us in this space. Until next time, my lovely people there watching me, live well, love yourself and others, and laugh out loud as much as you can. Bye for now.